Hi everybody, thank you for joining me. We are down in the woods about not quite a mile away from where the sawmill is, the brick ranch house, and where I'm building the sawmill building, directly in the direction the camera is facing. But I cut down an interesting tree and I thought I'd show it to you. So it's not going to be a long video, so I'll be kind of leisurely in getting to the point. But if you see this trail right here, this is a bush hog trail that goes around this entire field. So it follows that tree line way back down there, way across that backside where you see the trees are lit up, comes around here. It's probably a half a mile around the field, I'd say. So I'm referencing this path right here because I'm gonna get to it from a different direction. So this is, yes, I almost just fell down. This is a walking path that I have. And we'll just take a walk. I see little deer tracks on this just since yesterday. Right now it is like the end of September. It's a really nice little path. This is one of my favorite ones that I have. I think I've probably got several miles, definitely several miles, probably 2 to 3 miles worth of trails made. Probably closer to 3, maybe more than that, I don't know. I know if you walk them all with like children, it's way too much. So you can see where that one kind of goes up there. All the markers are back when I first made this trail. And then I kind of leave them in case somebody unfamiliar is walking it, just to make them a little more confident. But you can see the tree down there in the woods. So I was weed eating, which is funny. So this is me weed eating. Imagine me weed eating. I'm not looking up at all. And I get right here. My face hits these leaves and I look up and the trail is just completely packed. So we have to detour. And what it is that is the top of a decent sized poplar tree that was struck by lightning. So you can see it goes way up there. And then this is not from falling. This is how much this tree was split up. Not from falling. Look at that. So lightning hit this tree. This section that we're looking at here is probably 20 to 30 feet. And it goes, the split is running probably all the way to here at least. And it stood back there. You can see the stump way back there. I bet this thing exploded. Top of the tree is basically split into threes, but it didn't completely come apart. There are pieces of wood, so like the base of the tree's there's pieces of wood in I don't know what the diameter is, but all around it from where the top of the tree exploded. And you're not gonna probably be able to see it. But you can see it in this, and then you see here, and then I can't tell if you can see those up there, and then this other poplar tree right here. You know, there's some dead leaves here. From where this tree was hit by lightning, the leaves on all the trees surrounding it that faced the tree, they all died. Didn't kill the trees, but it killed the leaves. I'm guessing there was just a flash of heat from when the lightning hit. But it's pretty wild. This is a great example of why you don't screw around in the woods or anywhere outside thinking that you're safe, because it's like, oh, it'll just hit somewhere else. There's so much stuff for it to hit. You're safe here. Well, this was just one of the trees. This is one of the bigger ones right in this area. But you can see a poplar tree. This is a wide angle, so it makes some things look big. But a poplar tree is very tall. That's probably 125, 150 foot tall tree. I mean, it's very tall. This one's very tall, and this is the crazy thing. This is only halfway up this tree. The entire top of the tree is laying from like down here all the way up to here. This was a very, very tall tree. It's probably 30 inches or so at the base. So a poplar tree gets that big of a base in the woods goes extremely tall. So what I'm doing, I cut this tree down yesterday, and it was a pain in the butt by the end. You can see this is not the bark getting scratched as it fell. This is the lightning knocking the bark off all the way down to the ground. So I'm really hoping that the tree is not ruined inside. So I don't know how big it is. Let me see. It might not be quite what I was thinking. That's close. It's close. My shoes are 12 inches. Probably, let's see, this is probably the biggest diameter to there. So further down the base, it was probably closer to 30. So I'd say, it's pretty close. It's probably 30 inches in diameter. I don't see the split coming all the way to the ground. That's just the normal checking from where I cut it yesterday. But I did a terrible job cutting this tree. Really bad. I got the wedge all angled, and then I cut the back cut weird. And then when I was hammering my wedges in, I didn't cut deep enough, and I hammered my wedges directly into the chain. I was in a hurry doing this, was the problem. I was kind of nervous cutting this tree down too, because I was worried that the tree was split. And then when I started doing this cutting, that a third of the tree could just fall off. This is the reason I was worried about that. All this that looks like split lumber, that's from where the lightning hit the tree. And it just like quartered the tree, you know, all the way down to where I pointed at. And it's just split. You can't see it. It kind of held together, but it is just split all the way up. So basically I can just cut this stuff into firewood and I don't even have to split it. So that's what all this top of this tree, all down through here, or through some of it off to the side, all this is, you know, it's already split. Lightning split for me. So it should burn good. Probably dried it instantly. But like, let's see. These pieces of wood, that one I threw over here, but this stuff was just laying over here. This is a separate tree. You know, scraps. It might have been from this one. You know, there's another one. And I'm sure if I walked around and found the furthest one, but we are right here, 35 feet, probably about 40 feet from the base of the tree. So you can imagine it just poof, exploded. Very, very wild. But long story short, I broke my wedges, all 3 wedges. I've never broken a wedge in my life, and I was hammering on them so hard I broke the wedges. Just cheap plastic wedges, but I still have never broken them before in anything else. So I've ordered some bigger, nicer ones. Ended up cutting these wooden wedges and hammered those in there, and finally got this tree to fall. I don't know if y'all can tell or what y'all know about cutting down trees, but this is a really bad job. I basically cut all the way to the hinge. That was about the only thing left over. It was crazy. It was so weird. But it was just you had to be there. You had to be the one cutting the tree down to see why it was weird. It looked like the tree could have been felled basically in any direction, so I wanted to go in this direction because this makes a path right back out there to where I had my tractor. So this went terrible, and it started raining right at the end, and wind started picking up, blowing really hard when I had that tree cut that poorly. And then the worst thing started happening, started lightning really hard. So, oh, that's really nice. Definitely stuff was probably in those, so that'll be cool to see that. But it's a lot of firewood here. I don't mind burning poplar. It burns kind of fast, but one of the great things about poplar is it dries fast. So I'll cut all this up, and it's fall time right now. It'll be ready to burn this winter. It's still enough into fall. I mean, sort of the very beginning of fall. Toward to be plenty of drying time for this type of wood, or any type of tree that you cut down that's dead and sort of dry. So my access is to right here. This whole area right here looked like this. So I just connected it to one of my trails. So this is the beauty of having a bush hog. So my trail that I was talking about came down from up where I started this video, wraps around this field and comes through here. So it's really nice walking or just driving access for four-wheel drive or tractors. But you can just have something like this and just back into it. And now this can be another access into that, or you leave it alone and next year this will be so grown up you can't even tell. It's amazing how fast this stuff recovers. Probably won't recover at this point of the year. Stuff will start to grow, but it won't like turn into this. But by summertime next year, you won't be able to walk through here unless I keep it cut. And then once I got into there, I'm keeping it very minimal of what I cut, because that's getting into like the hardwood part of the woods where the normal trees are. So out of breath from talking, walking. I'm sick right now. If you watch the other channel, Just got the drywall finished, kind of to align some timelines between channels. But I've got this basket. I'm going to try to bring the basket up into here with my tractor, and then maybe cut up some firewood, just do something simple tonight, and then start dealing with getting the log out. So for getting the log out, I'm going to cut the first part of this up into the firewood, get that out of the way, and then hook a chain to whatever's left of that log and just drag it out the best I can, drag it back up to the top of that field. And I may even cut it up into sections, but it would be easier to get it out of here first if the tractor can drag it. There's enough stuff on the ground that I think will slide across it, especially if I kind of cone the end of the log a little bit where it rides through stuff. It's too big for my skidding cone, but so way too much talking, but just wanted to kind of let y'all see that. For those of you who don't get to spend much time in the woods and interested in this type of thing, I'll do some work and I'll probably show you kind of the results of it. I don't have my tripod with me. Just wanted to show you that while I was down here. Here's where we're at. Got a lot of it tossed over here. Just go over there and I throw it as hard as I can back. At first I was able to pitch it in here, but this is the basket. That's about 4 by however wide. It's a pretty big basket. Not gigantic, but real handy for this situation because I can just take it somewhere, drop it off with the tractor and leave it, fill it up. So I'll just take this up to my truck and probably just throw these pieces over into my truck and drive the truck back, leave a tractor down here. I don't have much fuel in the tractor right now. I don't want a chance running it out, going through that routine. Then I might run tractor back down here, get some more, fill up my little truck. It's just 2-wheel drive truck, but the weight in the back will make it get on out of here. But yeah, looking good. The further I get to the bottom of the tree, the heavier the wood's getting. Up here where it was split all up, on that part where it split into 3 pieces and it was wide open, that wood was fairly light and well on its way to drying. I think the top of the tree that's laying down at the stump where the blasted the top out and it fell straight down, I think it's going to be about the same thing too. And then I'm going to take a look at some of these trees around it as well while I'm kind of down here doing this work and see if any of those got killed by the lightning. Sometimes it'll hit one tree and do some crazy stuff and kill the other trees around it. So I'll check it out. This tree laid over. I'm going to straighten that one back up. I think it's a hickory tree. But really that tree falling only knocked over a few little trees. And then over here, the only things I really cut down were some little poplar saplings that had shot up after all this was clear cut over here. So it's a lot of stuff like this just kind of bent over. So I just take that tree and I just force the top until I get stuck, and then this tree is standing again. Now, the roots may have been a little busted up from where it got bent over, but it'll be perfectly fine. And so after I get done with the whole job, that's what I'll do. I'll just straighten even that big one. I can take a tractor over there, and I'll stand that right back up. Came out of here. One basket equals this much in the back of a 6-foot S10. It's GMC Sonoma S10, same thing. It's a lot more wood once you put it in the back of the truck, at least the way it looks. I was maybe slightly more careful putting it in here, and I just tossed it in the truck, but that's what you get from one basket. Not bad. Most all the firewood that was at the top of the tree and throughout the woods here, including a couple of dead trees that I had to cut down to get out of the way, have been collected up in the basket and trucked back up to the house, tossed in with the rest of it. And now I'm about to get the log out. So the log's still laying where it was at. The only thing I did is lifted the front end of the log up, sat it on this piece here, kind of rounded over the end of the log just where it drags a little nicer. I think this is too big for the skidding cone, but this will do good enough. There's not too much stuff for it to hang up on, and if anything gets in the way, I'll deal with it. That's the beauty of having the tractor. Just to be able to easily lift up on that log just to put the chain on it. I used to have to dig under a log with a digging bar and then shove the chain under in these situations. But the log right now, this section is 28 feet long, pretty much exactly. So I'm going to get it up to a better spot. It's easier to drag the entire thing once than to cut it in half and drag 2 pieces up. So that's what I'm doing. I guess I'll just take you along. I can film a little bit of this. It's isn't so much a video of showing action, but I kind of sort of can. So there'll be some sort of maneuvering that has to occur, but I've got a tight chain on the log to avoid too much slack, which hurts you going around corners. Four-wheel drive. That was probably some pretty bad filming. That's as good as it's going to get right now. So the log's really dirty, but I'll just spray it off up at the sawmill. A lot of times, by the time I actually get it up there, the bark is falling off. That's best case scenario, is that right as you get it to the sawmill, the bark just magically falls off, and then you can spray off just the bare wood, which is a lot easier to clean than the bark. The bark holds dirt and rocks, sand, whatever else, which dulls or will just bend a tooth, ruin a blade. But yeah, tractor is just a wonderful thing. I know looking at this, you can kind of underestimate it, think that, you know, down in the woods, you get two guys with some cant hooks, you could just roll this log around, but it's hard to kind of grasp the size of the log and the weight of the log. Handling stuff like this, that take 2 minutes, maybe from the time I started pulling till the time I got up here. And I just pulled the log probably a total of, I don't know, maybe 100 yards, you know, and here it is. I'll decide right here what lengths I'll cut it. I got enough room on this side of the trail since I was kind of rounding a corner. I can just grab the log, set it on a trailer, or just forklift it all the way back to the sawmill from here. That was a heavy pull for the tractor. I don't know if it's a good idea to do that for that long, clutch-wise. It's probably okay. Tried to not get it in too high of a gear because the engine is pretty strong on something like this, torquey, and you don't want to be slipping the clutch a little bit as you're doing something like that. But who knows? When I bought this tractor, it had a new clutch in it though. So it's probably pretty good. I bet it was an expensive thing to have replaced, but yeah. So a lot of the bark has come off in that drag. So I just pulled that thing about 3/4 of a mile, roughly. It could have been a touch more than that, but probably right around 3/4 of a mile. Mainly just across the ground, about like this, and then up a few hills. The tires, the wheels started spinning a little bit when I was going up one of the hills, which was more of a dirt, rocky, sandy hill. But it's got lockers in the back. You push on a pedal, it locks up both wheels in the back, and that got it going. It still kind of spun its way up, and I was kind of having to do a little turning back and forth and trying to balance the tractor out to where, you know, keeping the weight distributed pretty evenly across the wheels helps. But having that four-wheel drive and those front wheels pulling like that helps a lot. If I would have probably had something heavier on the front, I would have had a little bit more traction, probably. Because when you're pulling, the back's being pulled down pretty hard into the ground. So and it's got fluid-filled rear wheels. So it's got a lot of weight on the rear of the tractor. But if I had something heavy on the forks, you know, would have given a little more weight to the front. But that's got nothing to do with this. It's a nice log. My hope is just that it's not split up too much to mill. We'll see.